Thank you very much. So again, thanks for everyone to come here. Welcome to the 7th Annual Zeitgeist Day. As you already heard, my name is Frankie Miller. I'm coordinator of the Zeitgeist movement since 2009. The title of my talk is TZM Simplified. I was inspired to do this talk by a quote often attributed to Albert Einstein, which says, "Everything should be made as simple as possible, but not simpler." So I pieced this presentation together with this in mind, in the hope to give you a better understanding what the Zeitgeist movement actually is. The Zeitgeist movement in its structure, tendency, philosophy is a phenomenon never before seen. It's not easy to cover all aspects of it, but I try to deliver a definition of the name, talk a little bit about the organization in general and where it's coming from, its mission, why we do this, some understandings, and hence explain some characteristics of it, along with talking about how we go from here to there. Why the name Zeitgeist movement? Since this is an international movement, the world is challenged that we use a German word in our name. Allow me to explain. The term Zeitgeist is defined as the intellectual, moral, and cultural climate of an era. The term movement implies motion or change. Change is the only constant in the universe. Therefore, the Zeitgeist movement is an organization that promotes change in the dominant intellectual, moral, and cultural climate of an era. The Zeitgeist movement's inception was late in 2008 as a reaction to an independent personal piece of cinematic artwork by filmmaker Peter Joseph. All three movies carry the name Zeitgeist, but are not to be confused with the organization the Zeitgeist movement, which originally sprung in advocacy of an economic model proposed by an organization called the Venus Project. To help make the public aware of this economic model, the movement partnered with an organization, or like I said, partnered with the Venus Project, and although this relationship has since disbanded, the two organizations coexist with a similar pursuit to continue working in different ways towards global sustainability. The Zeitgeist movement, or TZM for short, chooses not to be rooted into a single organization or a data set. Its interest is primarily to develop an emergent train of thought, accessible and expanded on by everyone who wishes to consider the reasoning and become involved. This train of thought is logically self-realizing when the causal considerations of sustainability and public health are referenced from a scientific perspective. Through a network of global regional chapters, project teams, annual events like this one here, media and charity works, TZM covers a wide range of community-based activism and awareness projects to become involved with. In this structure, it's designed to be a decentralized, holographic, personal initiative activist movement. If one sympathizes with TZM, he or she reflects an attitude, a worldview, so to speak. Before I describe TZM's mission, it's important to note that the welfare of any given society is directly depending on this society's values. The foundation of our current dominant global economic system is profit maximization, consumerism, and competition, which in turn creates unsustainable values and practices which have no reference to the natural world, which is based on resources, preservation, and symbiosis. Hence our problems Sorry, I'm sweating. Hence, our problems today can directly be referenced to our values. As a global organization, TZM's mission is to advocate a sustainable socio-economic model and a change in the human values to achieve it. The definition of sustainable being capable of being maintained at a steady level, without exhausting natural resources or causing severe ecological damage. Our mission is an educational one. The people who sympathize with this movement also recognize that technical solutions exist to solve the majority of our social problems. Unfortunately, these solutions are unapplied due to our current socio-economic system. Socio coming from society, economic from economy, which will be described in a later slide. So, to summarize it, TZM's mission is to show the world what's possible, get humanity on the same page through a common ground relationship of meeting human need and sustainable economic protocols, and to help facilitate the development towards an implementation and transition to a new sustainable economic model that could be termed a natural law resource-based economy. A natural law resource-based economy, or NLRBE for short, is an adaptive socio-economic system, actively derived from physical reference to the governing scientific laws of nature. Or simply said, it's an earth economy, where biodiversity demanded to support life is inherently respected, not disrespected. Contrary to today's culturally accepted definition of an economy, in which we merely measure money and its circulation, this earth economy is linked to all resources of this planet, meaning all animal and plant life, the health of the oceans, and all other relevant factors to supporting ourselves and the biosphere which we are depending on. So, to put it in another way, a natural law resource-based economy is an economic model that is not based on the movement on money and the dynamics associated, but rather on truly scientific resource management and allocation, strategically seeking to enable an equitable distribution of all goods and services to meet the needs of the entire global human population, while ensuring maximum environmental sustainability over generational time. This economic model is best to understood if we get to the root of what an economy actually is. Economics derives from Greek to mean management of a household, with the aim of an economy to actually economize. To economize is to conserve, and to conserve is to create efficiency. And what is efficiency? It's the absence of waste. Everyone who likes cooking like me knows what I'm talking about. Don't let your food spoil, don't throw it away, manage what you have, and create the best meal out of it possible by also using the best technical equipment in your kitchen. The goal of a natural law resource-based economy is to optimize technical efficiency and create the highest level of abundance possible within the bounds of earthly sustainability, seeking to meet the human needs directly through a systems theory approach. A good analogy to this would be to think of your own body. All systems to extract or synthesize energy and nutrients are fully integrated into the system. Just as the circulatory systems can transport gases, minerals, and nutrients to all cells of your body, if there is a damage to the system, the circulatory and the lymphatic systems quickly respond and act accordingly. In a living body, is there the requirement for a monetary and some similar medium of exchange or for actions and transactions to occur? Of course not. There's no money, no barter, debt, or servitude. Organisms and bodies are fully integrated holistic subsystems, just as our planet is. So a natural law resource-based economy would operate within the same manner. The production of most goods and services will be fully automated, along with any other protocols which are relevant to the planetary ecological regeneration and balance. Energy sources, recycling, delivery systems, etc. will all be fully integrated as part of the whole system. The strategic efficiency in the planetary management and socio-economic practice and design would lead to something never before seen: access abundance. In an economy with access abundance, the new medium for transactions to take place would be with the system engineering with its fully integrated holistic view. Money, identified as our currency or tool for transactions, would be replaced. The new currency would be mutual respect. One could earn respect, pay respect, give respect, have respect, learn respect, respect the truth, the laws of nature, your fellow human beings, and essentially life in general. Respect here meaning a feeling of deep admiration for someone or something, elicited by their abilities, qualities, and achievements. In a fully operational natural law resource-based economy, the goods and service production and distribution systems will be holistic and fully integrated into the global civilization. If you need a good or service, you could communicate your needs through a fully integrated communication network, much like the internet is. The system itself would then calculate and orchestrate the best means currently available to meet those needs in the most optimal way known at the time, through a medium of scientific engineering, the most sustainable, best quality materials, proximity to user, best design, etc. Is this a techno-utopianism? No. Today we have the technology, the know-how, and the resources to do this. But the inefficiency and waste built directly into our current monetary market system cannot absorb such advantages. But still, along with our human development, we get better and better, and using materials in a more sophisticated way. This rate is increasing and can be called a thermalization, which essentially is the ability of technological advancement to do more and more with less and less, until eventually you can do everything with nothing. You see, evolution is development. And an utopia is a static notion, whereas our understanding of nature is in constant motion, just like our planets and indeed the entire universe. A natural or resource-based economy is an emergent system that will adapt and welcome change as an integrative factor, rather than suppress it through self-interest and maximization. To put it in short, we will understand the importance of questioning all things and challenging all ideas, changing all concepts as and when they need to be changed. So please do investigate this economic model with an open mind, but with a scrutiny too. After all, the scientific method on which the NLRB is based demands a healthy dose of both. And so, of course, should we, when we adapt to decipher the truth of any idea. I will now outline the characteristics of what helps make this social movement interesting. Where first of all, TZM recognizes the Earth as one single organism. Out of this derives the understanding that we are in fact one species sharing one planet. So TZM does not recognize contrived notions of nations, governments, race, creed, class, and the like. And of course, we are also not religious. We find science as a language is the best tool to avoid misinterpretations and misunderstandings, which have been at the heart of so much conflict and division between humans. People of all faiths are of course welcome, as the many spiritual aspirations for a world without war, crime, bigotry are obviously noble aims. But all aims must put into a practice and make them a reality, not just a religion. Science makes these aims possible. Different from the classical concept of politics, we are neither right, left, liberal, or conservative. There's no political way on deciding what shape our planet is, or how to keep the lights turned on. Using logic isn't a political act. Within a monetary system, one should come to expect any politician to be corrupted. Besides, any civilized society should be electing ideas, not people. And as TZM promotes a more equal society, it's also not hierarchical. Hierarchy can only be seen by the necessity, as TZM has an organizational structure of sorts, but not one of authoritative, top-down decision-making. Once you have understood the importance of interrelationships between people, the concept of a leader becomes obsolete as well. Instead, we choose to follow a path. Every one of us can be your own inspiration, motivation, and solution to the world's problems. The classical distinctions of politics, religions, nations, and money are seen as outdated and superfluous to a truly collective human growth and potential. You become part of TZM by your actions. By learning, you communicate, and you become part of the process of social transformation itself, a scientific democracy, if you will. And as long as these actions are positive, life-supporting, and focused on the betterment of society as a whole, all are welcome. TZM's philosophy to create change is inspired by many great minds and the methods of non-violence. We feel a more sustainable and peaceful world will never be achieved through force or coercion. TZM also applies the method of science, achieved through rational consensus. The scientific method in its application is not merely restricted to the physical world. It can also be applied to our social, economic, and educational system, and as the method of understanding human behavior as well. If science sounds simplicated, then don't worry, it's not that difficult. Every infant already applies this method even if it's not aware of it. As adults, we should be equipped with more understandings of our environment so we can use this method in a more responsible manner for social concern. And also don't worry, this is not a technocracy, where just evil scientists rule, but rather one in which we talk about and then apply the methods of science for social and environmental concern, plain and simple. A further attribute to achieve a natural law resource-based economy is the utilization of a systems theory approach to gain biopsychosocial sustainability and dynamic equilibrium in regards to our overall economic practice. So what is a systems theory approach? As I said earlier on, Earth is a single organism, so it's also one system, right? For example, a tree is a subsystem of a forest. A forest is a subsystem of an ecosystem, and an ecosystem without water will surely die. Applied to solve our global problems, a systems approach takes into account an understanding of how all aspects of our Earth systems behave and calculates the retroactions of those interactions using AI and computerization. So systems thinking is the attempt to understand each single part in relation to the whole. This is why a systems approach is absolutely necessary. It's an holistic view for an interrelated, holistic planetary system. And since humans, like plants, require certain conditions to thrive, we require a systems approach to create sustainability in all aspects pertaining to our collective well-being from our mind, body, and, in fact, society itself. In other words, since our environment is responsible for much of our behavior, we have the responsibility to tend to our environment. Systems thinking leads us to all necessary factors required for us to arrive at what you could call a bio-psycho-social sustainability. Bio meaning life, psycho meaning the mind, and social is related to society, of course. Lastly, we have dynamic equilibrium, which is simply the balancing of many dynamic factors in order to sustain the state of regeneration. This is also called steady state. An example is the equilibrium between ice and water at 0 degrees, where ice is melting at the same rate as water is freezing. Applied to economics, we need to create a steady state between our dynamic rate of resource consumption with the dynamic rate of regeneration, while also considering other dynamic factors like the change of the seasons and the like. Just as the 4 seasons are as different and dynamic in their appearance, so too can all life forms be seen as a direct result out of the dynamic equilibrium. Simply put, they learned to accept change as a factor. In TZM's worldview, or in TZM's view, a healthy society should be based on creativity, symbiosis, and empathy. To properly collaborate, communicate, and to cooperate, we would require full transparency and open access to information, including this presentation, as well, of course, with the hope to communicate the inspiration for others to adapt and improve it. I feel that we should all try our best to overcome our egos and share ideas if we wish to make progress. What I especially like about TZM is the fact that it's solution-oriented. It's not enough to criticize, protest, and complain without offering a workable alternative. And I think this saying of the great R. Buckminster Fuller would perhaps apply best to our philosophy. TZM's structural goal as a movement is critical mass and awareness. But what are the steps to achieve a sustainable world? Well, here are 8 proposals to sum this up. Abundance, efficiency, and preservation are the enemies of profit. You need to create problems to create profit, of course. So we need to move away from the use of the monetary market system. And its associated dynamics hinder us from any progress or any true sense of progress. We must utilize our mental capability and creativity and innovation expressed through technological advancements. We must automate tasks that are repetitive, boring, and dangerous. And 3, a technological unification of Earth via a systems approach. We need to promote access over property. It is clearly wasteful and inefficient if everyone wants to possess one of everything. Think of it like a library. Property is an outdated concept derived from times of scarcity. Strategic access to the necessities of life is key, including transportation, education, information, accommodation, energy, and a clean environment, and durable, recyclable quality goods. 5. Self-contained, localized city and production systems. Think global, act local may sum this up. For example, what you see here is a vertical, soilless agricultural food farm tower that can produce food with a far greater level of abundance than current methods. With a 1 acre floor space, fully automated, 10-story building like this, producing as much food as 400 acres of farming land, using 99% less water, with a 40% faster crop rotation. This is just one out of many examples of what can be achieved in a natural or resource-based economy. As an aside, I live in Frankfurt, Germany, home of the new European Central Bank. And I often think about that it would be way more beneficial for society to transform that brand new glass building into a vertical farm tower. Instead of humans or corrupted politicians, we prefer science as a methodology for social governance. The science of society, hence sociology, isn't currently applied as a factor for governance. In general, our progress as a healthy society shouldn't be a matter of opinion, speculation, and interpretation. Anything that can be put to test should be to compensate for our natural bias and inert human flaws in decision-making. We want to transform from a competitive value set to a collaborative value set for the simple fact that many minds are better than one, and seek a transition from our current infinite growth paradigm to a steady-state economy. Cyclical consumption of a finite planet is essentially ecological suicide. 8 proposals for transition, although the real transition starts as soon as you are ready to change your own values, along with many of the beliefs you may well still hold, which stand in the way of the value shift we need to support this shift in human life. Indeed, humanity has never evolved and made progress because of dogmatic thinking. Only those who deviated from the norm made progress possible. New ideas always sound a little bit absurd in the beginning, but that is because they're new. An amusing example of what the changing times would be when a child asked their parents, when you didn't have computers, how did you get into the internet? Imagine 50 years ago, you would have asked someone to think about someone on the other side of the planet, and that you would one day be able to contact them via a screen instantly. Or 80 years ago, if you would have told people that it will be soon possible to send a man on the moon. Or around 100 years ago, that man would build flying machines. Or that even the stamps that record such triumphs will likely fade out someday. What would they have said? We all consider the flat earth society as primitive, but they too had to have a world is round moment. Who says that these moments have come to an end? Perhaps our greatest eureka moment is yet to come? One thing is clear. The system of cyclical consumption to perpetuate labor, combined with technological unemployment to increase cost efficiency, combined with the natural limits on growth, finite resources, is what defined the grinding collapse we currently see accelerating across the world. And it won't stop by itself or by business as usual. The system has to go, as Jacques already said. Simply stated, TZM wants a world that isn't restricted by politics, money, and elitism that destroy the earth for profit. we want to ensure through our existing technological capability that every human being is fed, clothed, housed, and has access to clean, renewable energy and a relevant education without having to earn it. But it's important to note that TZM is not interested in a poetic, subjective, and arbitrary notions of a fair society, guaranteed freedom, world peace, or making the world better, simply because these words are sounding good: right, humane, good, without a technical framework that has a direct physical reference to such terms. Such moral relativism serves little to no long-term purpose. Final notes. I'm aware there might be some terms used in this talk that may well be new. But I would like to encourage you to research the subject for a greater understanding of the overall message. With this talk, I want to contribute my part to the material that wonderful people within this movement have already created to support this direction. I'm just one out of them, and they have my deepest appreciation. Beside this, numerous talks, lectures, town hall meetings, gatherings, online meetings, street actions, and media is created, and you can go deeper on that as well. I would especially like to recommend reading TZM Defined, which will help to give you a concise overview of what the movement advocates and answer any questions you may have. And you can download it on www.thezeitgeistmovement.com. You will also learn much quicker and hence understand how to communicate these ideas if you help to translate our content into your native language. Please go to forum.linguisticteam.org and be part of the Linguistic Team International. If this is in some form made sense to you, then congratulations. You are the movement. Every fool can know, but the point is to understand. This was TZM Simplified. Much love and respect. It's great that you exist. Thank you very much for your time.